Hello and welcome to today's videos. We're going to cover the series that took place earlier today at Worlds 2024 quarterfinals, Weibo versus LNG, and then preview tomorrow's series between BLG and HLE, a series that many thought could be a finals matchup, and we are going to get it, but it's going to be in quarterfinals. So predicted LNG to win this 3-1. Opposite occurred. Weibo came out hot, breathed, very dominant in the top lane, making Zika look honestly very mediocre. Breathe outplayed him in team fights as well. His Gnar very impactful. The Jax as well. We saw Jax actually being very strong once more, even in the hands of Zika, which is more of a Zika champ than a Breathe champ, but neither here nor there. Xiaohu, 19, 5, and 35, though. 30% of damage leading the way. Yes, Xiaohu. He's going to semifinals again. Another feather in his cap, getting out of quarterfinals. Gala, not getting out of quarterfinals and still stuck in that rut at Worlds. Crisp, 310 and 53, the guy that gets the most heat for being an inter on Weibo, somehow dies at least, has the best KDA. By the way, Xiaohu played Orianna twice, Aurora twice. Crisp, Rakan twice, Braum and Renata. Gala, 12, 8, and 9, 36% of damage, pretty much on par with Xiaohu and Breathe in DPM, over 700. But Jin twice, Ezreal, and his Kai'Sa. His premier pick, however, he lost on it, which is unfortunate. Not necessarily his fault, but it did occur. In terms of how this series broke down as far as control, how the games went, who was in the lead in gold plus objectives. Game 1, Weibo were ahead for about 3/4 of the game. LNG ahead in Game 2 for 4/5. Game 3, in my opinion, decider of this series. LNG were ahead for the majority of the game, 53%, but found a way to lose it in a very competitive bout between Weibo and them. And then in Game 4, Weibo kind of dominated that one, ahead for 94% of the minute. So actually, this series went 55-45 in favor of Weibo, a close one. But it's funny because so many people going into it, and I picked LNG to win, but we have to keep in mind Weibo did beat LNG in playoffs. Like, they just beat them a month and a half, 2 months ago. So it's not out of the question that this Weibo team wasn't capable of winning it. I mean, we had some people that doubted even the fact that Weibo could take one game, and then they blame LNG, and it's like, no, maybe you just didn't know what the fuck you were talking about. I was wrong in my prediction. I mean, I don't understand why people just can't take accountability, but whatever. So Scout, nice moments on the Yone, but still Yone, as this tournament went along, has not really held up quite as much. The Ori is super strong. We're seeing Aurora, of course, be very dominant. It's a must ban. I'm surprised that it was even up in this one. And hell, we saw a level 1 attempt by LNG, I believe, was it Game 3? When Weibo were playing Ash Braum. LNG attempts a level 1. We don't see many level 1s, and I give teams credit when they attempt them because, like I said, we don't see them often. It's a way to change, the dynamic of a game or a series, but into Ash Braum with an Alistar is a bold move. And they paid the price, got behind in the early game, and of course, like I said, went back and forth 50-50 roughly, but giving a lead was not a great move. And then we see, Kai'Sa for Gala, he's trying his damnedest, but it just is not enough because Breathe is so strong and Xiaohu is so strong. Tarzan, the game they lost, he's playing Amumu. Amumu is not a pick that he's ever played before, and it worked for Morgana, but it did not work for Amumu. Maybe he doesn't play Amumu again throughout this series. I wonder if they were scrimming FlyQuest, a team that does play Amumu, this past couple days. It is something to consider. But nevertheless, it is unfortunate. LNG got farther than I thought they would. These were the two teams that I debated maybe not getting into quarterfinals at all. And somehow, some way, they play each other. Weibo wins, and Weibo's going to play in semifinals. And who knows, right? They coin flipped a matchup last year and got into finals in a crazy way. And if Weibo somehow do it again, I'd be happy for Tarzan, of course, because I do I'm one of Tarzan's biggest supporters. I think he's a great player that's given way too much heat by LPL fans, and you see their LPL goats really do well at the international stage. So, of course, Tarzan is terrible, but nevertheless, this is a thing. Xiaohu and Scout, this was like their 101st time playing against each other, which I thought was pretty cool. I highlighted their matchup that they played, their 11 matchups this season, but it was their 101st matchup, I believe. And maybe that's a video idea this upcoming off season. I don't know. But that's the deal. The Ezreal for Gala, good, but you can't put him on Jhin. Gala is one of the better players. I mean, hell, the way Zika's playing, you can make a case for playing Zika, but the way Breathe was going into Zika in this one, I mean, and even when they did the lane swaps, you could say, oh, well, this and that, maybe it was champion based, but Zika came out of those lane swaps a lot better than, Breathe came out a lot better than Zika did. So that's probably a big reason why as well that Breathe did so much better than Zika. And hell, that's another shocker, right? I had Breathe in my lower half of the top laners at this event, and he has performed like arguably the best. He's going on one of those runs that makes you say, you know what, maybe this team has a chance because this guy who normally isn't very strong is playing like he is. I mean, hell, this is his time to shine. So that is a thing. Preview for tomorrow, BLG, HLE. So they've never played against each other, these teams, but all the players have played against each other in some way, shape, or form. I did not put Delight and on here because KDA is all that I really have from them, and I'm not going to do that. So, Ben and Doran, they've played 7 times. Of course, we saw Delight and Peanut and Shun play 7 times, as BLG and Genji played twice last year at MSI and Worlds. BLG coming out ahead 5-2. In the matchup in top lane, Bin much better, 2.4 KDA to 0.9 for Doran. Much more damage, even though gold share is pretty much the same. And return on investment, 1.49, 1.25. Not a big shock, right? Bin is the better player. Doran more well-rounded, one could argue, but still not nearly the impactful player that Bin can be. And Bin, on average, was up almost 500 gold, 15 CS, and 159 XP, with 3 solo kills in those 7 games. In the jungle, I'm assuming Shun plays, as he's been playing the last couple games for BLG. 7.8 KDA against Genji last year, so very strong player in that regard. Not dying very much. Peanut 1.5. Peanut a little more impactful in damage share, and really how they approached the matchups last year. And of course, it's a different team, so take that for what you will. But Shun is more of a carry than Peanut is in terms of how they've played their careers. But in that matchup, I mean, Peanut was taking on more of a carry-oriented role than Shun even was. And of course, that meta was much different than this past year. Carry kind of took on another term in and of itself from metas in yesteryear, 20% damage share and things like that. But Gold very similar in those matchups, but Peanut a little more impactful in damage, 0.9 to 0.74. Shun was ahead, 310 gold, 6 CS, 87 XP in those matchups. Now, Knight and Zeka, they've played against each other 11 times in the LPL. Yes, Zeka started his career with Vici Gaming and then played with BLG, ironically enough, against Knight when he played for Top Esports in 2020, 21, and 22. 20 and 21. And then in 2022, they were in the same group, in which case Zeka, of course, went on to win Worlds with DRX, and Knight did not get out of group stage with Top Esports. So, Knight winning the matchup 9-2, 5.1 KDA to 1.6 for Zeka. Damage share pretty much even at 27%. So both being pretty dominant in their matchups relative to the rest of their team. However, gold share, Knight taking on a lot more resources in those 11 games at over 23%, where Zeka at 22%. So Zeka taking on more of a secondary, third tier resources. Taking second tier, well, that's not even how to word it. Taking the second most to third most resources on his team, where Knight is clearly the second most on his team in resources. Damage share pretty much equal. And that return on investment is close as well, 1.3, 1.32 in those matchups. Didn't include diffies because we don't have all 11 games. Elk and Viper, they've played each other 17 times. Viper winning 11 of them. Elk mostly playing on team. Actually, I think all of them are on Team Wii and Ultra Prime. There was a moment where he did actually upset EDG and Viper in playoffs in 2021, 3-2. Then Viper would then 3-0 him in the playoffs later on. In terms of the matchup, Viper 5.9 KDA, Elk 2.4. Damage share, Elk with a lot more, but keep in mind Viper did play a couple Senna games in there. 32.4 to 30. Gold share, once again, so Elk clearly lion's share of the resources in his games with Ultra Prime and Team Wii. That's not a big shock. We think about those teams and what they really had. Well, I mean, hell, Team Wii had Missing, who we saw. I mean, we would say Missing's one of the better supports in the world. Breathe, who's playing outstanding League of Legends. Shanks. So maybe that Team Wii team is given less credit than I should be giving them. I should be giving them more credit. And Viper, I mean, hell, he's the best AD carry in the world. But we have what many would consider to be the top 2 AD carries in the world duking it out. So that bot lane matchup is going to be entertaining. The support diffy may be something to note. ROI is very close as well. So this matchup's going to be tight. It's going to be a tight one. Support role is a bit of a diffy. I think the light is better than On. On's kind of played pretty shaky this Worlds. If there is a weakness to what BLG have had, it is On at this event. And if you look at the lineup, I mean, it makes sense. Jungle role, of course, they go to Shun and they're still winning games, so that works. But as far as HLE are concerned, that top side, I mean, especially Doran needs to show up. He did not show up last year in Dabin, and historically struggles at international events. You know, he's considered a choker by many, so the fact of the matter is he needs to kind of put those claims to rest tomorrow. I think if he continues to play the way he has, I don't see a way where you really can defend him anymore. I think that this is like a moment where he needs to stand his ground. Even in a loss, he needs to show up tomorrow in a big way. Apparently, I think his Jax is like an 80% win rate, so I expect that to be probably banned by both teams throughout this matchup. So, yeah, that's a thing. Nevertheless, that's it for the video. Thank you for watching. If you liked the video, like it. Subscribe to the channel for daily League of Legends content. Follow me on Twitter. Join the Discord. Become a YouTube supporter. And hope to see you again tomorrow.